No, the recording is going to be only of the speaker.
Okay.
But maybe someone can take a video with their phone and record all those boxes. Oh my gosh, Sunny, that looks like an awesome mugshot. And then Priya, I see that you're already unmuted. So that's cool. All right. And we are recording. Okay. Hi, everyone. And welcome to Blissful Yoga. Namaste. I am so glad that all of you are here with us today, spending your precious Friday evening or Saturday morning for those who are in India to join us. I'd like to give a big welcome to Priya Kapoor. Priya, wave. She's up there in the corner. Priya, like all of us, believes in spreading happiness. And when I met Priya, I've known Priya for 2 years, so not very long in terms of duration, but she's a close friend of my sister Sonali. And when Sonali told me that she's a practicing Buddhist and she lives her life by following certain principles and beliefs, I was really intrigued. So I wrote to Priya, I'm like, Priya, tell me, what do you do? This sounds interesting. And so she shared a bit of her journey with me and an overview of those practices and those principles. And she talked about how they have helped her achieve success in life, how to find happiness, how to deal with stress and anxiety. And then I was like, I want to share this with my community. So it's not just me that needs to know this. I want all of you to hear about it, hear it from her. I know each one of you, and I know that during these days of lockdown, each one of you had made such positive and meaningful changes in your life. Each one of you have grown, whether it's planting your own vegetable garden. I know Shirisha has been doing that, cooking healthy food for your family, working on your daily workout, who I'm talking about, Amit Patel. But in so many ways, working on relationships. Some of you have taken online courses. You'll have been such good parents, homeschooling your kids. So all of you have done such an amazing job working on your life, enhancing it, making it better. And that I thought that these little pieces of nuggets of wisdom from Priya will only help enhance it further. So without further ado, over to you, Priya. And Priya, I believe she would want this session to be interactive, conversational. So if you guys want to butt in, ask her questions, or you want to wait to hold your questions till the end, that's fine. Priya, thank you for your energy and for sharing your wisdom with us today. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Dipali, for such a warm introduction. I will begin by saying that I don't know everything, and I'm happy to share my journey. I'm sure there are, things I'm still figuring out, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. But again, this is about, what I learned from, my practice and the philosophies, I've tried to understand and how I've sort of applied it to my life. So I'll begin by saying a very big hello to everyone. There's a lot of people. I'm actually a bit nervous, so please do ask questions so we can, not have me speak the entire time. Let me begin by at least introducing myself. Who am I? What do I do? And then I will, get into the practice and some of the philosophies that I mentioned earlier. I was born and brought up in Calcutta, India. Lived for majority of my, young adult days there. I have two siblings. One, sister. She lives in Dubai. A brother who used to live in Australia has moved to Hyderabad. So we are 3 siblings staying in 3 different continents. Don't get to interact much, but we are still very close. I moved from Calcutta at a very young age after I finished school to Delhi. And I finished my undergraduate there in Lady Shriram College, worked a few years in American Express, had fun, had the fun life in Delhi that everybody talks about. And then I had the chance to actually come to the US and finish my graduate school. And I arrived in Akron, Ohio. I didn't know a soul, but there are, so many wonderful people I met here, including my own husband. We finished school, we jumped around different cities. We stayed in New Jersey, we stayed in Chicago for more than a decade. And after that, we have moved here to California. I have two beautiful kids, Naisha, who's 10 and a half, almost 11. She actually totally behaves like a teenager. And I have a 3-year-old, boy, Abir, and all he cares about is cupcakes and lollipops, much like every other 3-year-old. So I have a very full life, and I'm very grateful for that. I do work in a company called Lending Club. It's a financial services fintech company that is into consumer loans. And much like everybody else, these days I'm homebound, working from home, Zooming all day, nonstop, taking care of kids and trying to manage the situation, how all other parents are or all other people are. So that's a little bit about myself. I want to, in today's session, I want to talk about like two basic topics. One is, what is Buddhism? I want to provide a brief, small glimpse of what is Buddhism, what are some of its philosophies and, practices, and how I got into the practice. But most importantly, I want to share my experience with how I use those philosophies to kind of change the way I think, I act, and I do things. And I will tell you, it has completely transformed the way I am, and it's completely transformed my life in ways that is very difficult to actually describe in words. You can only experience it. So I'm going to try to describe my experiences and share that with you. And again, please ask questions, please interrupt. I have absolutely no problem stopping and answering any questions. So what is Buddhism, and what does it stand for, and how did I get into it? We lost our dad, while we were very young, and it caused a lot of hardships for us, including my mom, especially, who was actually very young at that time. And, she was managing the best she could, but we had a lot of financial hardship, emotional hardship, and a lot of stress where, she lost a lot of her confidence and her ability to do things. She had a few friends only, but one of those friends knew somebody else who knew somebody else, and they all wanted to help her. So they introduced her to Buddhism. This was many, many years ago, about 16 years ago or so. And none of us really knew that she had ventured into this. She didn't speak about it, or if she did, I have no recollection of it. And, over the years, she mentioned a few times that I'm going to, meet people and talk about Buddhism. I may have asked, what is this? But, I didn't explore it more. And I saw that over time, my mom seemed happier. She seemed calmer, and she seemed more confident. So I was like, great, whatever it is, it's working for her. And I wasn't even next to her because I had left home from Calcutta, gone to Delhi, then to, US. And so I was never next to her, but I was always happy that something was helping her, and she was doing much better than I had seen her many years ago. So we never mentioned that, but, when I was pregnant with my son, as like all Indian moms, she came, right? And she came before my delivery. And when she first arrived, she said, honey, I want to figure out if there are people who are practicing Buddhism here. And I'm like, Mom, I have no clue. I don't really know. But she says, no, let's figure it out. Let's see. So she was pretty insistent, and I kind of researched, we figured out, and we actually found through people that there were a few people where I lived in Chicago, Illinois, that there were people who were practicing. I didn't know where this was going, but if my mom wanted something and would make her happy, I was all for it. So, we figured it out. She went to meet those people, and she was absolutely super excited. She asked me if I wanted to go with her, and I kind of said, no, Mom, I'm pregnant. All I want to do is sit on the couch and eat good food and watch TV after I come back from work, and I don't want to do anything else. So she left me alone, and she started meeting those people. And even while I was working and not at home, they would pick her up and have discussions. They would drop her back. Sometimes in the evenings, I would drop her back to those discussions. And then but that was it. I would be only a, a chauffeur and help my mom get to the location and back. I didn't really interact with anybody, but seemed like she was happy and she seemed to be practicing. So I got a little bit of information, but nothing much. And then my son was born in December, and around February, it was time for her to leave. And at that time, she said, she says, Beta, she says, why don't you, this is my last meeting. I'm meeting them on a Thursday. I'm flying out after that. Why don't you come meet them? They are all, people your age. And some younger, some a little bit older, but mostly your age. You're going to enjoy the company. Say hello to them and just meet them, right? And I said to myself, sure, why not? I mean, these people have been really nice to my mom. They have kept her company. They have, kept her busy. They have kept her happy. So I should definitely go and thank them. So I said, sure, mom. I mean, as I told her that I'm not interested really in the Buddhism, but I will definitely go. So I go there and, we go to somebody's house, we go to their basement, and, the discussion meeting starts at 7, we arrive a few minutes late. And it's, when I walk in, I see about 15, 16 people sitting in chairs and chanting. They are, meditating by saying a phrase over and over again. And it was super awkward for me because I didn't really know what to do. My mom sat down and she started doing it. So I sat next to her, but I was clueless. I kind of just sat there and I waited till they finished, and they finished a little bit early because they saw that I had arrived. So they finished, their meditation, their chanting, and they then formed a circle and, they welcomed me and they said, would like to give you a little, overview of Buddhism and kind of explain what this is all about, because I seemed pretty clueless at that time. So I listened to them and, they spent 10, 15 minutes talking about it. And then they asked me if I had any questions. I said, no, not really. Like I didn't really know what to, think of it. So I never asked. So I think they picked up on it and they changed the topic and they asked me how I was doing, how the baby was doing, and how I was going to manage without my mom. And that was a little bit of a, trigger point for me to kind of start a little rant, because I had been looking for a nanny for my baby for almost 3 months since he was born in December. It was February. And I had been trying to get somebody to come in because it was winters. Chicago winters is brutal. You don't want to take a baby in that cold, bundle, the baby up and take them to daycare and have them fall sick. So I was really frantically looking for a nanny with no luck. And so I was telling them that, yeah, I'm very stressed and I didn't even get a daycare of my choice, right? So I was kind of getting very anxious and, I didn't know what would happen come Monday because my mom would be gone. So they said, yes, your mom has been talking about it. But, one of the girls over there, she was my age. She says, oh, don't worry about it. You're going to get a nanny. So I said, no, I've been looking for a nanny for 3 months. I'm not going to get a nanny like in 4 days. And I talked about all of the conditions I had where, I wanted the nanny to be an Indian nanny so she could, take care of baby, communicate with us. I said, I have a certain condition where I don't want to pay above this amount, and I want the nanny to live close, because most Indian nannies like to be picked up and dropped, and I did not want that. I wanted them to either come and go on their own or live like a mile away from us. And I had, these conditions where I would want them to come at 8 in the morning and stay till 6, because I used to have long hours, sometimes me, sometimes my husband. So I wanted that option. Like I had a laundry list of things and it seemed so impossible. So I kind of mentioned that and they said, yeah, that's fine. Whatever are your conditions, you're going to find a nanny by Monday. Don't, we will pray for you. So I kind of said, okay, thank you. But, in the back of my head, I'm like rolling my eyes. I'm like, oh, it's Thursday, right? I need a nanny on Monday. So I go home. My mom's happy. I visited them. I'm happy that my mom's happy. Everything's good. Saturday morning, I get a call from this lady who speaks broken Hindi. And she says, I believe you are looking for a nanny. I said, yes, I am. I said, who gave you my number? He said, I went into this Indian store and you know the lady there. And she said, you're looking for one. And I said, yeah. She's gonna come talk to you. I said, sure. She comes in the evening, she talks to me, and she lives a mile away from my house. She wants to care for the baby. She also wants to cook. She also can come at 8 a.m. on her own, and she can go on her own, and she doesn't have a time limit. She can stay till 6, and even 6:10, 6:15 some days if need be. She has no qualms, and she asks, I never told her how much I'll pay her. I said, how much do you want? And she quotes the exact amount that I had in mind. And I was a bit stumped, to be very honest, because it just did not feel real. And I said, are you sure you can start on Monday? When Monday comes, I don't think she's going to show, but she shows on Monday. And I don't know what this was, whether this was a coincidence or, or it was something that the practice brought in, but I'm telling you, I was absolutely like curious at this point and stumped, to figure out what really happened. So, I make up my mind that this was something super incredible and that I should go back and report back. So I go back next Thursday. My mom's not here anymore, she's gone. So I go back to report just to tell them that, something happened, but I'm still like, could be a coincidence, but I should go back and be nice and tell them. So I go back and I, tell them, and they smile and they say, oh, that's great. Yeah, but we knew that you would get somebody. And, it turns out that this nanny who we got loved Abir as much as we did. My kid by Monday morning would be so frustrated with us over the weekend that he would leap into her arms. She was so good with him, and my son loved him so much. So that's how I, got into the practice. I was not religious. We never grew up, going to temples or any place. And I'm a very scientific brain, like a logical brain. So I did not want to be like, getting into a religion of sorts, but this was interesting. And so I told myself, very warm people, something interesting happening here. I should go. I want to go. So I was intrigued. So I started going in the evenings to, attend those discussion meetings. And that's how I got into Buddhism. And, that has been exactly 3.5 years. I started February of 2019. And, I haven't looked back since then. Why did I stick on, right? And what did I learn from them? What is Buddhism, and what are some of the philosophies of Buddhism? So Buddhism is a practice. It's actually it was started by Gautam Buddha, as all of you might know, who was a prince 2,500 years ago, right? And he saw a lot of suffering and could not understand why some people were so rich and some people so poor. So he, started on this quest of figuring out what is life and why is there suffering, right? So Buddhism, started with Gautam Buddha, who's also known as Shakyamuni, and he. After his death, actually, the true teaching of Gautam Buddha actually got diluted, and it fractured into many sects. And so several years, this became super diluted, and the true teachings weren't sort of taught. Then in the 13th century, there was a Japanese priest by the name of Nichiren Daishonin. He wanted to search more answers because he was not happy with the Buddhism that was taught during that time. And by the way, Gautam Buddha was not known as Buddha while he was alive. He was just a teacher. He was just a scholar, like a person who taught philosophy about life. So, but much after his death, he became like God. People had his idol and would worship it. And so Buddhism turned into something very different. So he was looking for meaningful answers, and he found a book in which there was, written book that had the philosophies of Gautam Buddha, and that was called the Lotus Sutra. So he found that, and he revived the original teachings of Gautam Siddhartha Gautam, or Gautam Buddha, and this is the practice that's called Nichiren Buddhism, which I actually follow today. So since then, that practice has, gained a lot of momentum. And in this practice, there are no priests, there's no idol worship. There is only a community of people who share information, share happiness, help each other. In this practice, they actually, recite or meditate on a certain phrase called Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. I won't go into the details of it because it would take another half an hour. But the whole point of that meditation is that you focus in front of a scroll that has the teachings of Buddhism. and people meet for meetings, once a week. That none of this is mandatory. Nobody asks you to show up. It's up to you. And they have a once a month discussion meeting where people share their experiences, their struggles, and how they overcame them and how did they overcome them. So that's the setup of Buddhism, and that's the history of Buddhism. So what are the principles of this practice, really? There are many ways you can describe them, but I will keep it a little bit simple and talk about things that just resonated with me to the most degree. I'll talk about 3 things, and I will tell you, they seem simple, but it's very difficult to really understand the true meaning of that. And it's even more difficult to imbibe it. I'm still learning every day and trying to imbibe those. So, let me share what those are. The first is, the solution to every problem is not outside of you, it's inside of you, it's you. If there is a problem in your life, the only person who can solve it is you. Nobody else can solve your problem. That is the most fundamental philosophy of Buddhism. We always talk about that, I had a boss, I worked so hard, he didn't promote me. He didn't promote me. He didn't like me, so he didn't promote me. I want to go to Harvard Law School, but I don't have money, so I can't make it, right? It's my circumstances that is causing me to not go there, right? So you see how we have, most of us think that when we have problems in our life, that the solution to that problem is somebody else fixing it for you. But the philosophy of Buddhism says that's not true. If you have a problem, if you have, anything you want to achieve, nobody else can do it for you. Only you yourself can do it for yourself. And every human being actually has the life force to make that change happen. You don't have to be like a Buddha with, a halo around you. Buddhahood is the strong mind, the ability to say, I will tackle anything, and to be able to have that faith and say it will happen no matter what. So that is one of the most fundamental philosophies of Buddhism that's very hard to understand and imbibe. I'm still learning every day. The second thing is, in order to resolve your problems and achieve your dreams, you have to believe that the impossible will happen. What does that mean? So, when I was young, right, I didn't have a lot of money, right? We had a lot of financial distress, but I wanted to come study in the US. So I told my uncle, I can't, I don't have the money. Nobody will give me a visa. And even if they give me a visa, I can't spend in dollars, right? So I said, I cannot achieve my dreams because I couldn't see a solution. If you can't see a solution, doesn't mean that there isn't a solution. The human mind is so restricted by what you see. You can only see so far. You can only see step 1, step 2, step 3. You cannot see step 100, but that doesn't mean there isn't a step 100. So we cloud our minds to believe that we can't achieve our dreams because we can't think of a solution. So you have to believe that even if you don't know the solution, you don't have it, it's okay. It will come. How it will come, we don't know, but it will come. That you have to have faith that it will somehow come. Very difficult to imbibe in your life, in your everyday life. The third thing that I personally found very, very profound is that we tend to complain a lot, right? Even when I say, okay, my goal is to have a better relationship with this person, right? And I'm going to try, right? But inside our heads, we're complaining, oh God, again, I was so nice to him again. I've been doing nice to him, but he's still not listening to me. So either verbal complaint or mental, a little complaint, right? So when you complain, you create that doubt in your mind, and you amplify your own perception that this is a problem that exists and it will not solve itself. So the key to having faith is also making sure that you do not complain about the situation, not just verbally, right? You're very nice to somebody on the face, but mentally you're still thinking, what an idiot. That doesn't work. You have to believe that all people have a reason for why they are reacting. So, there's a reason why. Just give them that benefit of doubt, right? They are another human being, and they are reacting because there are circumstances that are making them react the way they are, right? They have their own environment. So don't complain about them, right? And when you stop complaining about them, all that energy that's going towards complaining, guess where it's going? Towards you, towards figuring out how can you find a way to manage your solution, which is going back to the first problem, that the solution of the problem is within you. So those are the three philosophies of Buddhism that resonated with me the most. And I have tried to imbibe those in my everyday life. Now, I am happy to share, one or two experiences depending on the time, and kind of tell you how I kind of transformed, my problems and my goals and made it a reality. So once I started practicing and I started going back to these discussions, I only listened a lot. Like, I did not speak much because I didn't know what to talk, right? But I listened to a lot of people. And one of the things, they told me initially is that, Priya, Buddhism is about writing down goals that you believe to be impossible and saying they will become possible. Because when you make your impossible happen, you will believe that the solution, those three principles are true. So no matter how much I tell you or somebody else tell you, you're not going to believe it, right? You're going to only believe it when you set a goal and you achieve the goal. So I said, great. And like, every newbie in the practice, my biggest goal was figuring out my, work solutions. Everybody has work problems, I'm telling you. So I had work things that I wanted to solve. So I was doing great at work, right? No major issues, but I always ran into some sort of a friction with people here and there, and a little bit of friction with my managers. And on the surface, everything seemed fine, but I never felt really happy. So I was like, I want my situation at work to be great. I want manager to love me. I want my work to be recognized, the same standard things, right? That people want at work. So I set that as a goal. And I said, I would, like to also get a better job and a better right? I wrote them all down, right? And you're supposed to write them down and you're supposed to, work towards those. So I started doing that. And I started like chanting, and it didn't come easy because that whole routine doesn't feel normal, right? It doesn't feel natural to you. So it took me a lot of time, but I started doing it. And little by little, the more I started getting into the rhythm of things, I started thinking about, why am I facing those problems? What's the core issue? What's driving those? And a very specific example is that I had a new manager who came in from finance into, business operations. And I've been in business operations for a long time. And so he was, providing his solutions, his way of doing things, and telling me to do this and do that. And I was a pretty tenured person in that role, and I had done that for a while. And consciously or subconsciously, I think I was being a little impatient with him. I was probably not listening to his suggestions. I was probably, I was pushing back on his solutions because I knew his solutions were not viable. Because I had gone through all of these iterations and I knew that every one of those recommendations he was making would lead to failure. Now, I was right, but I was not able to communicate with him, right? And he was perceiving me as someone who was always pushing back, right? So we were always getting into these lengthy talks and back and forth, no big argument, but like just something that was like, your brain gets fried, right? So I told myself, what if I do things differently? So I realized I was being unfair to him because he was new and I was not giving him a chance to understand and share my knowledge with him. So what I decided was I started becoming a lot more patient. I let him stand at my doorstep for an hour. He had one question, another question. I answered everyone. I sent him emails. I sent him packages, to the extent that I gave him information overload where he could not digest it anymore, right? And every time I would make a suggestion, I would say, yeah, why don't we try it? Let's see, right? And I would, say, what harm would it do, right? Maybe a day or two of delay, but let's do it, right? So when I took that approach, he gradually and very quickly, within a matter of weeks, right? He backed off. He completely backed off. He realized that what I was doing came from a place of experience, and he felt comfortable that I would figure it out, and he didn't really need to micromanage me. And he completely changed himself, in a matter of weeks. Like within 2 months, he was completely a different individual. He would not stop by at my desk. He would not be like standing over lunchtime, discussing those things. And, he and I developed such a good rapport eventually. And, then I would even joke with him that, about how we would go at loggerheads with each other. And, it made me realize that I was seeing a problem that I thought needed to be fixed by my manager because he was new. He did not understand it. My solutions were right. But I solved it so quickly. And it brought so much calm and peace in my life because we were not like arguing back and forth. I finished my work much faster. I was able to go home to my baby. So, everything completely drastically changed. And there were so many other benefits that came from your manager supporting you wholeheartedly, right? So a little change in strategy, completely changed the way, I functioned. So that's one. Another one is, I was wanting a new job, right? So I wanted a job either in the same company, a better job, something different that I wanted to do, or I wanted to go in a different company because I've been doing the same thing for a few years now. So another goal comes and, I write down those lengthy goals and, I kind of, pray, right? And by the way, in the relationship spectrum, this was 3 years ago, right? Today in my company, my biggest strength, according to my executives and stakeholders, is collaboration. They put me in projects where people can't get along and get work done. They put me in those so I can be the mediator and get work done in key areas where people are struggling, right? So what a stark contrast from where I was, trying to even just deal with my own team member. And here I'm dealing with different stakeholders across different teams. So I know that, by changing the way I think of it, when I go into these situations, I don't think that that problem is for those people to solve, right? I think about how they would want to kind of address this, and I kind of manage that. And so I'm doing really well there in those situations. Back to this job thing. So I was, kind of, praying that I do things, and, I wasn't though, applying for jobs because I had a little baby, it's 4 months old, 5 months old, I don't remember. And I was like, I'm not ready for it, but, why not set a difficult goal and get it going, right? And, a recruiter found me, called me and said, can you talk to me? Can you give me a background? I do. And I said, what company is this? Said USAA. I said, where are you guys located? They said San Antonio, Texas. I said, I'm not going to San Antonio, Texas. I'm in Chicago. We are based out of here. And she convinces me that at least have a conversation with the hiring manager. I said, okay, absolutely. Why not? What's the harm? I talked to the hiring manager. We have a great conversation. So this is a role that I really wanted. This is the kind of role I wanted, right? And she also committed to, making me, investing in me, in learning some of the new technologies that I wanted to learn. And so this seemed like such a super job. So she convinced me to come down and have a panel interview, right? So I fly in on a Friday and do a panel interview with 6 people, fly back home, and I'm telling myself, great, I got some experience, but really I'm not going to San Antonio, Texas. On Monday, they called me back. They gave me an offer that I cannot resist. They gave me a package that is incredible. They gave me the job I was looking for. They gave me a solid team. They threw in everything over there. They told me they will move me completely with my house, my kids, give me a month's accommodation. They will help me sell the house. Like whatever I asked for, whatever was a problem, they gave it to me. And I'm thinking to myself, I've been trying to get a new job for 3 years, 2.5, 3 years, right? And nothing's working. And here I do nothing and something's working. Again, I tell myself, what is this? Is it a coincidence? So like, these are the initial few months of me being at the practice. So I tell myself, I don't know and I can't understand, but I know that I'm heading in the right direction. So I will continue, doing what I'm doing. So I bring this good news back to my people and my friends in this practice. And I say, hey, what do I do? So they say the decision is yours, right? Nobody else can make a decision for me. And so, I play out the pros and cons. One of the issues was that, if I got a job and moved, so would my husband move, right? And he didn't have a job. And I was not very happy about him breaking his, career and moving. There was a possibility he'd get something in 15 days, but there was a possibility he would not get something for 6-8 months. And I wasn't feeling very comfortable about that. Although, Manas my husband is a, I don't know if he's on the call, but I was there. He's a super sweet guy and one of the most supporting people in my life. He said, you make a decision, don't worry about me, we will move. So here's everybody giving me a thumbs up. And then one of, my, friends in that practice said, Priya, if you're trying to run away from this job and not solve all of your problems here, it will go follow you wherever you're going. So if your reason for quitting this job and going elsewhere is because you don't like this job and you're getting stale and you're not happy and all that, it will go with you. You have to change the situation where you are. And if this is not your ideal city, then you will get your ideal city and your ideal job. You just have to believe that you will. So it was the hardest decision I made, but I turned down the offer. And it was so difficult for me after, because I could not believe I turned down an offer and I could not believe that I would get a better offer than that. So I could not believe it, but I continued. And, there were moments of dull, a few months of nothing. And I was saying that, this doesn't work. Like, it's not like nothing's working, right? And one fine morning I got up and I said, what am I doing? Like, I have these philosophies I should imbibe. Let me believe in it. Let me give it a shot. So I get up in the morning and I said, no, it will happen. I will get my ideal job and it will be in either Chicago or let's say pick a place, sunny California. So I knew a lot of my friends from school and I don't know if they're on the call, but I'm like, either it's here or it's there. And actually I wanted to be there because I'm tired of the cold here. I'm tired of the freezing 7 months of winter, right? So I want to get out of here. So I tell myself that and I wake up on Saturday morning, I, do my resume, it hasn't been done in a while. And I just apply for 4 positions and then, I fizzle out. And then, and I tell myself, I want a job in the same industry because I love it. I want a better job, which has, a lot of need, leverages my experience. I did not want my standard of living in Chicago to kind of go down in California. California prices, Chicago housing prices, not really apples to apples, right? So I was very worried about that decision. And I said, whatever it is, if I get something, it will be such that I will maintain that standard of living and everything will fall into place. And with that belief, I kind of continued. And a week later, I get a call from that recruiter, one of the 4 positions I applied. And she talks to me and it's from Lending Club. And I'm actually very excited because it's in the same industry. And she talks to me, she, bumps me to the hiring manager. Hiring manager talks to me, super excited, has me have another discussion. And then they call me for a panel. So I fly in for a panel and I do so well. They give me an offer in 2 or 3 days, like pretty much a few days after. And, but they don't give me a moving package and I am super bummed. And I'm like, no, but I need to move. And there's like, we had a 3,000 square feet house. I had 2 kids. So you cannot even imagine the number of things and the amount of things you had. And I felt very, overwhelmed at the thought of moving and it felt kind of not feasible. So they came back, they offered me, took them a few months, like a month, because we ran into the December holidays, but they came back early January and said, we'll do everything for you. We'll move you completely. We just want to make sure that you join. So once that decision was made, I, looked at my husband. I said, this has happened. Now what do we do? So I said, what about your job? That's first thing that comes to my mind. And he says, let me ask, my manager and see what they say. And he used to work for Discover Financial Services, and they used to have a no work from home policy. He used to work for US Bank, and, they did not really have a work from home policy, but, they had a lot of, people that worked in different areas that were remote. So he got the chance to work remote. So basically we had an open pathway to move to California. And then came another doubt in my mind. I said, okay, I have a great job. My husband will be able to continue there. But what about my house? Like, will I be able to, like, I had a small baby. If you have to put up the house on, the market, you have to make it spick and span. And our house was not spick and span. So I was like, kind of, I don't know, overwhelmed, a little hassled. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. So, my practice again told me, set a goal, Priya, set a goal, set the impossible goal. So I set the impossible goal. My house will sell in 1 weekend. And by the way, Illinois market is not like California. Houses sit in the market for 2 months, 3 months. Nobody shows up over there, right? So I set the impossible goal that we will have somebody who will walk in the door. They will have little kids. This is my imagination going, right? They will have little kids and they will love the place. By the way, I wanted little kids because we had a lot of kid-friendly things done in the house. So it would appeal a lot to people with little kids. So I said, somebody will come in, have little kids, and our house will sell in the first weekend. And it did. A family walked in with 3 little kids. They loved the house, so much so that they made the offer right after the weekend. We never had to do a second showing. And the house was sold in record time. And they were really nice people. We accommodated back and forth, and we were able to figure out us emptying the house, us moving, all those timings, the little things that bug you, right? Everything fell into place. And one more time, right? I set impossible goals and it happened. And it didn't happen because it was magic. It happened because I told myself, I don't know how it will happen, but it will happen somehow. And it did. We moved to California on a plane, and I have to be so grateful. We have such amazing friends here that we, stayed with, that helped us settle down over here. And, believe it or not, when we moved here, we had a 3,000 square foot house. So I was super worried that we would find 1,500 square feet house because everything is priced, really high. I get a house that 2,700 square feet, pretty much close to our original house, and within the budget that we wanted. How that happened, also, I don't know, but it happened. And I'm living in that house. There are boxes here. We're actually moving to a different house, but we've called this home for the last 2.5 years, and it's been incredible. And, talk about, meeting the same level of standard of living. So I come in here with a certain base salary and all good, right? And then 6 months later, or I don't know how many months later, or a year later, you're right, I didn't try for it, but I get a promotion, more pay, right? 3 months later, after the promotion, my company does an evaluation of, pays and differences across pays of, women, men, people, race, and all of that stuff. And they want to equalize things. And I get a bump again. So in a year of me joining, year and a half of me joining, I increased my financial situation to a degree where I'm comfortable. I didn't even ask for it. I didn't even plan for it. But all I said was, it will happen. How? I don't know. Like getting a promotion and a raise within a year, and then getting another bump in salary, right, within 3 months of that promotion is like, it's not, you don't think of these things. You don't think of these as a solution to meet your goal, right? But it did happen. And here I am, right? I have like 100 experiences I can share, but I just thought I'd bring one, where I solved the problem by changing myself, and then I put together a very difficult goal, and I believed that I could make it happen, and I did. And so I wanted to share those 2 experiences with you. What Buddhism teaches you is to have a very strong mind, right? a strong mind, a strong body makes you a strong person. So, I'm definitely struggling in the strong body category, but I'm getting there in both cases. So that's what I had to share. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know I'm super over, but I'm happy to take any questions.
That was so awesome, Priya. I've heard little tidbits of all these experiences, but so good to hear. First of all, you articulated it so well, and good. It's so inspiring to be able to set all those impossible goals. Um, I'm sure all of us are thinking, oh yeah, what is it that you want next? It was really, really good.
Thank you. Any questions from anybody? I never had any questions the first, 50 discussions that I went to. It was just too much.
Yeah, if anyone has questions, you can go off mute and shoot, because Priya has 3.5 years of experience following these philosophies, and so good to see all the progress you've made in these few short years. And like I said, I think all of us are really inspired.
I'll ask a question.
Sure.
Hi, thanks for
Hi.
sharing. So tell us, how do you use Buddhism? And I'm assuming you didn't grow up as with the philosophy. So how do you use it while raising your children? They're young enough, but old enough to understand. So share with us how you incorporate Buddhism into your family life, with them specifically.
Sure. So, I practice every day. And one of the things you actually, chant and you pray is it's a way of meditation, right? It's a way of fueling your inner determination to say that I can follow these principles, right? I can change my life. So they see me, practicing this every day. My little guy actually knows the words, and he will, like, I put on my headset and I, start to chant so that, I don't hear the noise around. So he will wear his headset and he will start doing it with me. And he's only 3, he doesn't understand it. But with my older daughter, she has been seeing me do this for the last 3.5 years. And I've taken her to actually every discussion that I have, because, I had a baby in the house, so I didn't want 2 kids with my husband. And so she would go there and she would listen. And I'll give you an example of how I never, in Buddhism, you don't really force anybody to do anything, right? It's up to you, right? It's up to you if you want to imbibe these principles and these philosophies. So I talk to her often about it, right? When she has, she struggles with, I'm not making friends, they didn't talk to me, so and so happened, da 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 da, right? It's all about their problems. So I tell her that, why do you think, there is a problem, right? Get to the root cause it, and why don't you help, pray with me for 30 seconds and see what happens. So, she has wanted to get a dog since she could speak, and she's 10.5 and we don't have one. Every birthday, every Christmas, I don't know, every occasion, she says, can I have a dog, please? Can I have a dog, please? Can I have a dog now, please? Now, please, now, please. And like, I don't give it to her, right? And then I come up with all these creative solutions that say, we don't have a big yard. Who's going to take care of you? Your brother is young. Like, I come up with all these nonsense, right? And then, so she said, well, my brother's older now. And so I said, okay, we don't still have a big backyard. So I said, if we have a big backyard, we can have a dog potentially, right? So she prays that we get a house. And we have just closed in on a house a week ago. And when we even started contract negotiation, we were not going to get the house because we were not the highest bidder. And she kept asking me, are we going to get the house? I said, we are not the highest bidder. So she says, no, Mama, this is our house. You just wait and watch, it will happen. And I tell her, honey, yes, it will happen, but I don't want you to get your hopes high in about, getting a house, because here things are competitive. You're bidding over the list price and people are going crazy. I said, I'm not even sure that I'm in the market to bid. And I wasn't even actively looking. This house came out of nowhere and we went to see it because our realtor said, let's just go see it. And it checked a lot of our boxes. So we said, we'll put in an offer. It's fine. We'll not get it, But I'm telling you, my daughter sat in front of that scroll and she chanted, and we have the house. That's all I can say.
So when are you getting the dog?
she's determined.
That's where you come in, Parveen. That's where you help out.
I know that's. I can help you with that. Yes,
we're all dog lovers on this
Oh,
call.
all dog lovers.
That girl stops. That girl gets so upset that she will go to these places that they have dog. They have dog fairs where they bring in all these dogs for adoption. She says, just drop me off there and pick me up in an hour. So we have to drop her off there, go to Target or go somewhere else because she has to hang out with the dog. So she has this passion for dogs, which is very hard to kind of, deny her. I think I'm getting closer.
Yes, you are. For sure.
Yeah. So it's definitely influencing them. And, she has all these, she wanted to go. Oh, by the way, she wanted a house that went to a particular school and then a particular middle school and then a particular high school. And she wanted no other combination. And there are 8 or 9 elementary schools in Pleasanton. There are 3 middle schools and there are 2 high schools. So she wanted a specific combination, and I'm telling you, she got it.
Wow.
I don't ask me to explain it.
So the Bella's about to have another friend.
I know. Yeah,
She's
you guys
have
need
to
to
get
come
that dog.
and then come visit us here.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Anything else?
So now is Naisha a believer? Is she practicing
You know-
regularly?
No, she's not practicing regularly. But when she has a problem, she says, "Mama, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to make up my mind that this will happen and it's going to happen." And so she's beginning to, say the same things I say. And it's a good way to inculcate that belief that you can do anything you want. Because a lot of kids just, try once, try twice, and then just resign and say, "Oh, it's not happening. It's not working, right? I'm not going to get it." So I'm trying to change that, that mindset, and seems to be working in some cases. So I think, it'll probably prove really right if I do get a dog.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
She's seen how powerful it is, at least. So that's good for her. She has the faith now.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely evolved over the last few months. Yeah. Any other questions from anybody? Any thoughts?
Priya, I am curious. So I know, of course, we've talked a lot about your practice, and it's a very inspiring thing. So you talk about visualization. So is that part of the practice, or is that something, because I know you mentioned the practice talks about writing your goals, but is the visualization something that you do, or is that also part of the practice?
So the practice says that you repeat these words. The words have meaning, right? You repeat these words, but the real reason you repeat these words is because you get focused. You're looking at you're wide awake. It's very different than the Hindu Om chanting where you close your eyes and you're meditating, right? And you're doing it for like peace, right? This practice is about happiness, and you get happiness when you solve your problems and gain your goals, right? You achieve your dreams. So you practice in front of that scroll. And the reason they ask you to write down your goals is because they want you to be very specific. They want you to write the hardest thing down, because people tend to forget. When you write something down, you more clearly remember in your mind, and then you're able to clearly visualize. So there is no guidance that you have to visualize, but they definitely say that, sometimes people don't know what their goals are. I want to be happy. I want a new job, but what kind of a job? What do you want, right? So the more people write down, the more specific it is. The more specific it is, the more your mind is able to absorb it and say, this is my goal. This is my impossible goal, right? This is why they ask you to write down. And I do visualize, but it's not a, they say you can do whatever works for you, right? Whatever keeps your focus right in front of the scroll and thinking about your goals, whatever it is, visualization, putting those goal sheet in front of you, whatever works for you works for the practice. So there's no prescribed thing, but a lot of people do visualize and say it's going to happen. That positive reinforcement sort of makes your mind believe that it will happen. Because if you have doubts, you know, I also feel that it will not happen. When you have doubts, it's not going to happen. When you have doubts, you're focusing all of your energy in those doubts, not in making it happen. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, it does. No, I do believe it a lot. Along similar principles. So yes, it does work, but it takes a lot of faith.
Yeah, it
That
takes a
is
lot of,
key.
yeah, and that is why I think the practice makes you sit down every day and chant, because it's very easy to digress. It's very easy to get tired after a long day. When kids are yelling, then you yell back at them, right? But you should not be yelling back at them, because the yelling will get you nowhere. It's not going to solve the problem. So, you know, the practice makes you remember and reinforce these principles, right? That's basically what it is, right? Any other questions from anyone else?
That was so good, Priya. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're in the middle of the move and, you know, so much going on with work and home and kids.
Absolutely.
But, you know, this has been great. I know when you and I talked, you were like, oh, what's it going to be? And, you know, you just flowed, totally flowed. It's all about you and your experiences. And I'm glad that all of us got a glimpse of this practice. And like you said, it's not a religion. For me, I didn't even know what it is. All I knew about Buddhism was what I studied in a history book.
Yeah.
And, you know, to meet someone. And in some ways, these principles are very similar to other principles. So it's, you know, it's not a secret. You know, visualization and affirmations and positive thinking and, you know, writing down those impossible goals. So it's just good to know that you followed these practices and you have the proof that it works, you know. So thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being a very patient audience and for asking great questions. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
I'm glad you guys could join. Enjoy your weekend and the rest of your Friday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Amit.